All right. Blessed to be part of your day. We're joined by Josh Hendricks of CV Science with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Is this Josh?
This is him.
Right. We just called for you a couple seconds ago. Where were you?
I've been talking the whole time. Can you not hear me?
Nope. That's why we said hello.
Okay. I keep saying hello back. I can't tell if you can hear me or not now.
We can hear you now, sir. So
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about CBD oil. Why is it such a point of controversy, not only across the country, but particularly here in Idaho?
I think, obviously because it comes from both marijuana and hemp. I always give the example of if sugar came from a marijuana plant, that sugar would be a controlled substance. So if CBD comes from a marijuana plant, it certainly is a controlled substance. It's certainly illegal. CBD itself, however, is not a controlled substance. And if it comes from a legal source, like hemp or hops even, then it should be treated as an agricultural commodity or an herbal extract like anything else.
I think currently in Idaho, though, it's against the law to have CBD oil.
Against the law to have CBD oil from cannabis, from marijuana.
I think any type of CBD oil.
Well, so in states like Idaho, you have CBD laws that were put in place to help people with epilepsy or other diseases because the government had heard about the benefits, but they never transitioned that CBD over from that marijuana classification. So we don't sell CBD oil. We sell hemp extracts. These are sold in thousands of health food stores across the country. And the main point that I would make, against that is when these laws were put into place in Idaho, CBD wasn't, we didn't have the science we have now. We didn't have the World Health Organization or the Anti-Doping Association come out saying, hey, look, this CBD, this is non-harmful, non-intoxicating. There literally are no negative effects with CBD. You cannot get high from it. So, I would ask the question, why should CBD be illegal? Or why would it? Makes no sense, right?
Well, it's a point of contention locally here, sir. We have a lot of people that believe that the CBD oil needs to be regulated by the feds, and if you don't have that FDA stamp on it, then you don't know what you're getting.
I mean, but nothing starts with the FDA stamp, and no offense, but if you believe the FDA stamp matters, then you probably don't know much about the FDA. I refer to the FDA as the Fear and Death Administration quite often. Everybody, I think there's just a lot of miseducation or misinformed folks out there that think that hemp is marijuana and that CBD is a form of marijuana only, and it's not. You can get CBD from hops, you can get CBD from hemp. And again, we're not just getting the CBD. We're taking that full spectrum hemp extract, and we're making a dietary supplement that really isn't specific to diseases like the laws that you have there that are for kids and things like that. This is for adults who want to take a dietary supplement for overall wellness and general well-being.
And yet still you have people that are against it.
And you had people against Uber once upon a time, too. And Uber was not a lawful organization when they started. They were a positive disruption that happened to the transportation industry. I think hemp and hemp extracts are a positive disruption happening in the natural supplements industry.
Sure, but okay, so what's the difference between the CBD oil with hemp and those with marijuana?
Again, it's the source. So we call it the source rule. If you can't, but let's say you could get sugar from marijuana, that sugar would be illegal because it comes from a controlled substance. Hemp products have been legal for years. There are hemp soaps and hemp seeds and hemp seed oil, been on the market since the late 90s, early 2000s. And hemp products that remain within that definition, again, the definition being 0.3% THC or less, meaning there's not a single chance of you getting high off this product or abusing it or becoming addicted to it or anything like that. Why would that ever be illegal? Everybody says, well, there's no law that says hemp-derived CBD is legal. Well, there's also no law that says oranges are legal. So, it's just that positive disruption takes time, and as we've seen in every other issue in every other state across the country, there's never anyone that gets prosecuted for hemp-derived CBD, and it usually just helps us educate. We had the same issue in Indiana. They were like, what is this? This is weird. Indiana's obviously a conservative state. Once we went up there and fixed it, now Indiana, for us, for Plus CBD oil, is our number one state in the country. So it really is it's a blessing to be able to educate folks and make positive disruption like we are, because it only helps the marketplace. It helps get the word out.
Well, you're getting the word out here on KIDO Talk Radio. Again, for the critics, what would you say?
I would say if you're worried about hemp-derived CBD, then your priorities are out of line. And that's what happens when we talk to law enforcement. Once they have an understanding of what this is, and that hemp is a crop that's grown in every other country, every other industrialized nation in the world, legally, free and clear. No one's going and stealing hemp plants out of a field and getting high. No matter your belief on marijuana, hemp-derived CBD is not that. Hemp is farmers and tractors, and I always say there's no negatives with hemp. If we can bring hemp back to America from the ground up, it's going to leave the soil better than it found it. It's going to give the farmer an opportunity to diversify his crop and start something new, which we desperately need. It hasn't been Monsanto'd or GMO'd yet. It's going to create jobs at the processing facilities. It's going to create economic development with manufacturers and that kind of stuff. And then the retailers are benefiting from it. These health food stores are seeing rapid growth in sales that they haven't seen in years because they haven't had a hot product like this in years. And then to top it all off, the consumer buys it, and guess what? Generally feels better. So if you can find a negative anywhere in there in that process, I'd like to hear it.
So if hemp's so good, and if law enforcement is so miseducated, why is it taking this long to get the benefits out to the general public?
I think you had well-intentioned people pushing the agenda, but they weren't the right folks to get things done. They weren't, instead of advocates who just believe that this plant should be legal, and rightfully so. What's happened this time is you have legitimate farmers and legitimate entrepreneurs and businessmen, agricultural folks saying, "Hey, this is silly. We should have this opportunity just like every other country, just like Canada and Australia and China and everywhere in Europe. I mean, everywhere else grows hemp for all kinds of reasons." And, we're missing an opportunity here, and our farmers are struggling. I mean, corn's going to lose money this year. Soy is definitely on the way down. And I think hemp foods can replace soy. I think hemp fibers can certainly help with sustainable materials, like replacing materials with more sustainable ones like plastic and such. And then obviously CBD or hemp extracts is what's driving the train right now. But that's going to be secondary one day. So, again, if you're worried about hemp or you're worried about hemp extracts or hemp-derived CBD, you're really missing the point of this is an agricultural crop. We're really trying to push this forward. And if you look at states like Kentucky or Colorado that have taken advantage of the Farm Bill and started growing hemp, and started, the dollars are there. You're talking about $800 million industry right now in the United States, and we don't produce much of that. And we do what we can now with the Farm Bill. But that's why this next Farm Bill is going to be so important. It's going to not only free up the commercialization of the growth of the plant at the farm level, but it's going to define everything so that there isn't this confusion of hemp extracts versus CBD derived from marijuana. And I think you just generally see CBD, the compound, the cannabis plant that has no psychoactiveness or no intoxicating feeling, dismissed as as what people are all up in arms about now, is that it should be controlled and regulated. I mean, like I said, oranges, there's no law that says oranges are legal either, but we see them every day at the grocery store.
Yeah, but oranges are regulated.
Well,
you can't just throw something into. You can't just throw something in. I mean, the FDA will have to look at hemp, won't they?
Well, yeah. So there's hemp food all over the country right now. There's hemp. You can go to any grocery store and any Whole Foods in the country and buy hemp seeds or hemp soaps. Hemp will be regulated by the USDA, and then the products there from there will be responsible for that. Those industries to regulate themselves and to fall in line. But yeah, you're not going to just not have it regulated by the FDA, but you're also not going to have I'll just say this. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. So, yes, it will have to be regulated. That was my point with Uber is you don't ask permission to make change. You just make it, and then the regulations usually come after. Same thing with Airbnb. This is a very disruptive thing that's happening right now, which can be viewed as negatively. I think it's very, very positive. It's just kind of how I'm wired. But I think getting people to understand that you cannot find a negative to the hemp-derived CBD movement. So I absolutely welcome regulation and legitimization so that we can move forward. And I can spend a lot less time talking to uneducated people who are in very important places and putting out very misguided information to people, and more time, focused on creating more quality products for the population.
All right, Josh Hendricks joining us from CV Sciences. We appreciate you. Your website, sir, if people want to learn more about hemp.
Yeah, I'll give you a couple. CVSciences.com if you want to know more about our company, plus CBD oil, PLUS, CBDOIL.com if you want to check out our products. And then if you want to know more about the hemp industry and all the happenings going on all around the country, check out hempsupporter.com. That's going to be your source for information and the true legal interpretations of hemp from folks that are actually paid to interpret that specific thing and not just paid to have an opinion.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
That's one of the rare times when I just didn't bond with somebody. And I don't know if Mr. Hendricks is so militant about the CBD oil or what. It just didn't really seem to be clicking. I could have made a decision to ask him a few more questions, but I think we just were better off just letting him go. But if you want to discuss what Mr. Hemp or what Mr. Hendricks, not Mr. Hemp, that's right, Mr. Hemp or Mr. Hendricks wanted to talk about, apparently hemp is the best thing ever, and it has nothing to do with marijuana. Little did we know it's such a blessing to be educated by Mr. Hemp or Mr. Hendricks. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Lori, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Hello.
Yeah, good morning. I wanted to mention that, first of all, I'm not opposed to CBD oil if it's dispersed through the medical profession by pharmacies. I think it has a legitimate place in alleviating pain, seizures, that kind of thing. But it needs to be controlled in that way, not just in the sale of, across you can buy it on the street or whatever. And promotion of this, the idea of growing plants as a farm product and so on, I was able to see a documentary at the Egyptian Theater a while back, and the only place, unfortunately, it's not being very well advertised, but you can find it at drugfreeidaho.com, Drug-Free Idaho, and it's called Chronic State. And it some people came that were featured in the film. It was shown at the Egyptian Theater about 2-3 months ago, and it shows in Colorado what has happened. What's happened is the deforestation of the forest, where these drug cartels have come in and they go camping in the national forest, and then the runoff from the pesticides they're using, and then the hypodermic needles and the what it's going into the pesticides and the marijuana growth is going into the streams and killing the plant, the animals, and you just see these dead animals around, and these cartels are buying up real nice properties and then turning them into growing like greenhouses and then leaving these beautiful homes.
Oh, see, we're legitimizing the cartel. We're making it illegal for the narco-terrorists. We're washing their money.
Right. It was appalling, the environmental impact on that would come into Idaho. And what's happened is just people coming into like Boulder and different towns where they're just devastating the support system and the police. It's the homelessness and so on that's coming into the state because of this. And so we don't want this in Idaho. We don't want our beautiful state devastated by this kind of thing. I really encourage people to go look at it. It was appalling. I had no idea the different kinds of impact that's what's happened in Colorado. But it's big money, and so they eventually, even a lot of the people that are on the law enforcement side, get hired by the promoters of this and so on, and because they make more money. And so just go watch that. Drug Free Idaho, Chronic State is the name of the documentary.
Chronic State. Now, is it online now or what?
It is. It's online. I wish they'd put it on YouTube so it could really be viewed. I don't know why, but the only place I've been able to find it online to watch it is you have to actually go to Drug Free Idaho, and then it's there. The documentary's there, and it lasts about about an hour. Yeah. So there you go. That's an eye-opener.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, more of your phone calls next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
And they're like, we don't market it to the youth. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's why you have Jolly Rancher edibles.
Why else would you make candy bars and cookies and all the things that we identify with our youth infused with marijuana?
I just saw a girl who ate the full bag of candies and had to go to the ICU. I mean, she had what's called the GCS of 3, meaning she was completely unresponsive. We couldn't wake her up no matter what we did, and she had to go to the ICU until several days later she woke up and could go home.
That's the way our children are viewed, as a paycheck.
It comes down to greed. People do not care about other people getting medicine or recreational marijuana. They care about money.
For them, it's money. They don't care. And that was the discussions we would have with my son is, you think they're going to be at your funeral if something happens? If something were to happen to you, will they be there?
There we have it from Chronic State, from Drug Free Idaho. Drug Free Idaho. Check them out today. And by the way, for the folks at Drug Free Idaho that reached out to me about this, just watching right now, it's amazing. We are talking about CBD oils, hemp, marijuana, and whether or not Idaho should join the crowd of bringing all that stuff in. Your phone calls next. First, traffic and weather together at KIDO Talk Radio.
I'm just Channel 7's Eric Everett.
And let's go back to the phones. We go to Aaron in Nampa with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Aaron.
Hey, good morning. I fully support CBD oil. In terms of the arguments whether it's unlawful, there is no constitutional authority for the federal government to regulate substances. If it's going to take place, it has to be at the state level. But as for the benefits, I think that's up to the consumer. Again, I don't need the FDA telling me what I can and can't use. That's just an example of big government. People who live with pain, people who, have various ailments, I do think they have a right to try. And the right to try has been something that's been loosened up even at the FDA level. So I absolutely support CBD oil.
What about the argument against it that it needs to be regulated? Would you want the FDA regulating it?
No, the marketplace can regulate things. If it's a bad product, it will be evident in the marketplace. And that's also something that even some people who have adverse effects, some people have positive effects. That is somewhat of the nature of these sorts of products. Some people like particular toothpaste, other people don't, so they don't buy it.
Well, when we talk about that,
part of the regulation of the marketplace,
right? But wait a minute, but there is bad results with CBD oil, right? Is that what you're saying? Because so far, all we've heard is it's the best thing ever and it's all wonderful.
Well, I think that different people can have different impacts. I use capsaicin. Some people it feels like fire. Well, for other people, it can benefit people with pain.
All right.
We don't ban it. We don't ban it. So no, I absolutely believe that the federal government needs to butt out. This is Idaho, and so we don't need the government in our backyard.
Aaron, appreciate the call.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Aaron saying butt out government as far as regulating CBD oil. More on that in a minute. You're listening to Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Kevin.
Wait a minute, Larry Gebbert. You mean it's not going to stay this way for quite some time? Back to normal. What does that mean? Good morning, Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. If you're just tuning in, talking about CBD oil, we had a young man on, Josh Hendricks from cbsciences.com, telling us how great CBD oils were and everything else. And you've had people saying, look, the government needs to bow out. If Idaho wants to have CBD oil and marijuana and everything else, why not let it happen? Of course, I echo Brad Little's argument during the gubernatorial primary with the Republicans. You've got to have the FDA regulate things. You can't just throw things on the ballot. By the way, I urge you to check out Chronic State from Drug Free Idaho, a very, very powerful documentary.
You know, and...
Were they at your son's funeral?
No.
I mean, look at our industry that even has been set up to inspect this. Our Marijuana Enforcement Division, our oversight from Department of Revenue and Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, we've had inspectors in all of those divisions go and work for the marijuana industry.
Right. This is what's going on in the great free hemp, free marijuana state of Colorado, which you're not hearing about. You're not hearing about the bad things. And, of course, it goes against the libertarian arguments where they go, hey, if you want to smoke dope, who cares? This is what's going on, not east of the Great River, but west of the Great River, right in our neighborhood. It's happening here. It's happening now. More on that in a minute, but joining us now from Florida, our great friend Eben Brown, Fox News Radio on KIDO Talk Radio with the very latest concerning that tragic shooting in Jacksonville. Eben, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you with us here at KIDO Talk Radio. So, any explanation? What's the latest, sir?
Well, no good explanation, of course, and no motive yet from law enforcement as to what they believe has happened. But from the folks who have been speaking out, the witnesses, the fellow gamers at this Madden NFL tournament, were saying that David Katz, the gunman, was eliminated from the competition in an early round and then started shooting. This is someone who had been involved in the gamer community for a while, specifically with the Madden NFL game, and had been a previous champion. This was a tournament with a cash prize, a big one, about $5,000, and he apparently was eliminated early, and that's when the shooting began. We can then draw the inference to say that he was being a sore loser to the nth degree, but we don't know if he had any other motivation besides that. We don't know if the two people who were killed were targeted specifically for themselves or if they were just the people who were unfortunately struck with bullets. Another 9 people dealing with gunshot wounds. They are recovering. Their prognosis is very good. A couple people beyond that had other injuries. And I think it's a pretty sad commentary that we look at this incident and we say only 2 people died or were killed. The shooter is also dead. He's the third person dead of his own hand. But you know, I'm not very far from Parkland, Florida, right now, where Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High is. You know, we normally see a much higher, unfortunately, count of victims in these incidences. And so when we hear only 2, I think a lot of people probably breathed a sigh of relief, and I think that that's kind of sad that we have to think that this is a good day because only 2 people died.
Eben, we appreciate it. Thank you for your insight, sir.
You got it.
Eben Brown joining us, Fox News Radio. Liberal Steve with Kevin Miller. Good morning.
Buenos dias, Idaho. Well, Miller, marijuana and hemp ain't going away no matter what kind of propaganda is out there. You can go into the co-op store in your little town since Idaho was all about Boise, supposedly. You can go into the co-op right there in Boise, Idaho, or Meridian, and buy 50 or 60 different hemp products, all imported. All imported. Hemp seeds, 99% are still imported into the United States from New Zealand and China and Russia, but that's changing. We have changed it. Liberal Steve and his buddies and his cronies and his corporate people, Washington, D.C. will be passing where we can grow our hemp now. We can process it, and we can build a plant like Oregon's already got the plant ready to go. We'll employ 450 people. It'll process hemp. It's better for horses. It's better for cattle. The U.S. Constitution.
Right.
was written-
You and Mr. Hendricks there were talking about the benefits of hemp. If hemp were so great, it would be legal already. People would be using it, but it isn't. And quite frankly, I don't think it's happening in Idaho. And when you hear what's going on in Colorado, what goes on in your mind?
Why do you say stupid stuff like that, Kevin? Hemp's legal. You can go into the co-op and buy it. You just can't grow it in the United States. It's legal in the United States. Now, see, you keep getting marijuana, cannabis, confused with hemp. Hemp is a totally different plant. Did you ever see the movie where the kid left his college and went out west and then went to Alaska and ate the wrong plant and died inside his little trailer?
No.
Okay, the plant that he ate was very similar to another plant. They looked very much alike. And that's the same with cannabis and hemp. They look almost identical. They look like two Christmas trees, fir trees standing there. It takes an expert almost to tell the difference.
But when you hear about this stuff, hold on. Not only were we talking about hemp, but hemp is just the gateway to marijuana in this state. You know that, and I know that.
Hemp has been in Idaho for since they outlawed hemp that you could grow it in the United States in the 30s, along with cannabis. And the people that got together on that was the plastic industry and Jack Daniels and a lot of others. But heck, Kevin, I can walk into the Jackson store and buy a poison, drink 6 of them, get in the car, and go and kill people. I mean, but hemp has nothing to do with any of that, and that's what you're getting confused with. Hemp, you can go into the co-op, Kevin. I've been buying hemp powder for 30 years now. When I lived in Boise, I bought it at the co-op. Now I can buy it out here in Caldwell at other places that carry it. But hemp is used in the Mayo Clinic for the last 20 years, 15 to 20 years in the Mayo Clinic for the cancer patients. It's so good for you. And it's legal. You can go into the co-op and buy hemp powder, period. Been able to do it forever. So it's not illegal. People keep saying hemp is illegal. It's not. It's illegal to have it and grow it, but it's not illegal to import it and process it. So other countries are making millions of dollars on the United States. Canada actually wrote a letter to Washington, D.C. 8 years ago asking them to allow the farmers in the United States to grow hemp because they're so burdened with trying to process it and ship it around the world, they can't handle that. So marijuana, yes, totally different thing, totally different ballgame. I don't care about marijuana. Marijuana is just like booze. It makes you stupid. It makes you dumb. It's a drug. It's like opioids or anything. I suppose if you use it right, it's a benefit for you, but most people, like alcohol, will abuse it. Just about everybody that drinks alcohol, I don't care if they say they're teetotalers or whatever else, if you drink 3 beers, you've abused alcohol. That's how bad alcohol is for your body. So hemp is not going away. Me and my buddies in the corporate world will be growing hemp in Idaho by this time next year, and I'll guarantee you that will happen.
Well, fair enough. Liberal Steve for the hemp industry. We appreciate you. Thank you.
And God bless John McCain and his family.
All right.
Okay, I'm not a Republican, but McCain, because he was a war hero, you know, I probably felt more in common with stuff he did as a politician, but he was a Republican, so we didn't see eye to eye. You stay fired up, Miller, just like you and me. We love each other, but we never see eye to eye.
Fair enough. Thank you, Liberal Steve.
Bye now.
Bye-bye. Let's go to Robert in Mountain Home with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Robert.
Hey, morning, Mr. Miller.
Good morning, sir.
I was just wondering if your Bible reads the same as my Bible.
All right, go ahead.
Genesis 1:29, it says, to eat your seed-bearing herb. And marijuana is included in that seed-bearing herb.
Where in the Bible does it say marijuana?
129.
Page 129?
Yes, Genesis 129.
So what specifically is the reading? You just said it again.
Seed-bearing herb
okay.
And your fruit-bearing seed as your meat. I know that you're not a vegetarian, but that's what your meat is supposed to be. And see, that's why everybody's so messed up. They're not obeying God from the very beginning.
So, Robert, let me get this straight. To obey God is to
Eat herb. And then everything else since then has been wrong. Since Adam and Eve didn't eat the herb they were supposed to,
the
we've
herb
been messed up.
The herb being marijuana.
Yes, sir.
That's the first time I've heard
it. Makes all the sense, doesn't it?
It's the first time I've heard of that one.
If God wants you to eat herb, the devil don't want you to. The devil would say, just say no to herb. But yet God says herb. So read it to everybody and tell them the truth. Marijuana is illegal in Idaho, so is Christianity.
Christianity is illegal in Idaho?
Yes, sir. If you can't eat herb, like God says so, then everybody is either a hippie or a hypocrite. So you think about that. I'll call you back later.
I look forward to it. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. That's the first time I've heard of marijuana being referenced in the Bible, and those people that are anti-marijuana are anti-Christianity. I don't know what the Pope would have to say about, well, the Pope has enough problems of his own. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Like I said, more and more people tuning into the program, more and more people having, a chance to air what they have to say, uninhibited and unchallenged, and then we get a chance to react to it.
Because they're getting sucked into the narrative and then saying, forget inspecting, I'm going in for the money. So what kind of standard do you have that you're holding to if your inspectors are going, heck yes, I'm all in?
Everyone can say that it doesn't matter what laws are in place as long as people are, doing it to themselves, they're not impacting others. But once it's starting to hit, our roadways and things like that, that impacts all of us.
Impairment is subjective to every human being. Even alcohol laws are subjective. But we finally lost enough kids on our roadways that Mothers Against Drunk Driving said enough, and were instrumental in forcing impairment standards. Well, that's not happening with pot.
For law enforcement, they've given us no bright lines to enforce it. So we are yet to have an instrument that measures intoxication.
You see people vaping.
Another reason why we should not allow this weed to be legal in Idaho. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio, just airing something from drugfreeidaho.org, Chronic State, concerning what's going on in Colorado when people want to legalize the marijuana.
In their cars, you don't know what's in the e-cigarette. We all know that THC cartridges are widely available to go in those things.
Do you want your bus drivers? Do you want your truck drivers? Do you want your doctors? Do you want these people high when they're operating on you or they're taking your kids back and forth to school?
When I go now and I ask them, how many of your friends think it's safer to drive with marijuana than alcohol? All the hands go up. And I don't care if I'm talking to freshmen, juniors, seniors, sophomore, whatever they are. Hands go up.
When I see those numbers increasing and the number of drivers that were positive for marijuana involved in these traffic fatalities increased 66% just since legalization occurred in Colorado, that's definitely something of note that I pay attention to.
There we have it. By the way, if you go to drugfreeidaho.org, their Facebook site, there's a story from CNN where the national forests are being destroyed because so many people are growing pot. Of course, the pot purveyors will say, oh, it's okay. Marijuana is harmless. It's not a gateway drug. No one's ever died from ODing on marijuana. Really, the start of this was the idea of hemp, and we've had the hemp champions come on today, Liberal Steve, another gentleman from Kentucky saying that hemp is great, it's wonderful, we don't need the federal government regulating it. So, and I love this libertarian approach to it, but if that's the case, then why do we need air traffic controllers? Or why do we need somebody regulating food? Oh, a little thing called E. coli that seems to happen again and again and again. If you don't have consequences for bad things, well, just don't eat the bad food. How do you know it's bad? Right? That is one topic. And I love talking about this because the majority of us, you disagree with me. And that's what makes mornings a little bit more exciting. Then we had a gentleman call in moments ago that said the Bible said drink the weed or eat the weed. And if you're not eating the weed, then you're not a Christian. Who would have ever thought? That, and here's something that really, I think, goes to show you how overly sensitive people are. Have you been to the Western Idaho Fair? Maybe you went by and saw the Ada County Republicans, right? And here's our friend Tyler Ricks. He's there all the time. Love Tyler. He's going to be governor one day. I can't wait when I'm old and with the walker. No, I'm going to have a rascal. Now, I probably won't be able to afford a rascal, so I'll have a walker. And I can see our friend Tyler up there, who works endlessly promoting Republican Party agenda, young Republican, college Republican. Anyway, I see a picture of him, and here we have Donald Trump holding Hillary Clinton in a headlock, right? So you have some people that are upset about it. You know, it's just a cardboard cutout of President Trump putting Hillary Clinton in a headlock, and this is how, I suppose, how blessed we are to live in a state where this is news. So somebody complained about it, and they took it down. Let's see. Controversy. Of course, this is by the liberal digital place. I don't even know if they're a newspaper anymore. Ada County Republicans booth at the Western Idaho Fair. Democrat Diana Lachenanato, who is running for Ada County Commissioner, posted a photo displaying it, calling it juvenile and pretty unclassy. And then you have people taking it down. Really? And you have people running for office commenting on it. Yes, I was offended by it. You were. Man, people need to get a life. More on that in a minute. Traffic and weather together. Kevin Miller in the morning.
It's Eric Everett.
So back to this. So here you have somebody on their Facebook writing this down and everybody caving, appearing at the Ada County GOP booth at the fair. This is juvenile and pretty unclassy, not to mention that it seems to promote violence against women. And what we're talking about is a photo or a stand-up of Donald Trump having Hillary Clinton in a headlock. Like many people, I'm sick and tired of the vitriol being hurled out there. And yes, I would also call out the Democratic Party if I saw something like this at the Democratic booth. Do the Democrats even have a booth? Do you have any candidates? I'm proud to have friends on all political stripes, and I don't believe the Republicans that I know would support this. This is really beneath them and the party of Lincoln. Wow. And then it goes on. You have people taking it down and commenting on it. Was it really that bad? I mean, there is something called satire in America. That's what conservatives are always told when we see something on Saturday Night Live that is reprehensible. That's what conservatives are always told when you have Michelle Wolf make fun of Sarah Sanders. That's what conservatives are always told when things go too far. And yet here you have the Ada County. Now, was it a right move at the line of scrimmage? Apparently not. Apparently you can't have fun. Apparently you can't do anything. And probably the bad call at the line of scrimmage from the Ada County Republicans, thinking that the Western Idaho Fair was the same thing as a Kevin Miller debate watch party, or the same thing as their meeting in Pocatello. It's not. And yeah, you're going to have people complain. Now, you either are like some people that when you get complaints, guy I used to work for, he loved getting complaints. And to him, when people complained, you were doing your job. Unfortunately, the world we live in today, it looks like the Republicans at the Ada County Republican booth at the Western Idaho Fair are on the other category, which is, oh, I don't want to offend anybody. I don't think it's the image of the Ada County Republicans. Well, maybe Donald Trump should have been giving Hillary Clinton a hug or a kiss or something of that nature. Now, maybe you disagree. And coming up, we'll talk a little bit about that with our friend Lars Larson at 580-5436. 580-KIDO. I'm thinking to myself, is this something to get upset about? Of course not. But again, it's an idea of censorship. If you're a conservative, you're wrong. If you're a liberal, hoorah. Not on this program. Not while we're all here together. I appreciate you, Ted. Kevin Miller in the morning. Fox News next. KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.